Okay, so OutSystems, you fairly recently released your 2025 State of Application Development report. I suppose it'd be good just to understand the background to that in terms of why you did it. I mean, do you do it every year? So this is just, 2025 version, or what's the thinking behind producing the report, I suppose is the question.
Thank you. Well, we do these reports since 2017, so we've been doing them every year, and it's a way for us to understand how the market is evolving from a software development perspective. It's a bit more broader, touches around the way digital transformation is going in the market.
And in terms of this year's edition, no surprises maybe that AI is, sort of front and center, features heavily in the report. The world has gone kind of AI crazy, I suppose. And on a positive note, it's being used to help with coding, but I think the report also suggests there's some concerns around security and governance. So perhaps you can just talk to the positives and the negatives, if you like.
Yeah, so obviously, and we're actually grateful that AI is mentioning. We've been adding AI to our platform for quite a while, so it's good to see from an industry perspective, it's taking a more prominent role in the software development. The thing is, it does improve your productivity, but a lot of the people out there in the market are kind of showing some level of concerns around the governance behind it. Um, what we have been seeing together with the industry analysts like Forrester or Gartner, etc., is that this approach of having code sort of like pixie dusted with AI on top is sort of a naive approach towards software development. Even before AI, low code was already providing significant improvements above what AI could actually do in terms of software development. So the concerns around the governance give us sort of an opportunity for introducing a platform that is able to control and govern that introduction of AI. So that it's a good time to be out there in the market, I would say, for us at least, because it feels like the market is asking and demanding for this type of governance that we very much have been trying to cover for so many years.
And another sort of positive part of the report is revealing that there's just a very high demand when it comes to developing new applications. So people are busy. And I think as well, especially customer facing ones, which I guess is exciting, but there's also, I suppose, challenging. There's different internal applications are one thing, but when you're having, customer facing ones, there's sort of extra pressure, responsibility on those. So again, just please talk us through, what's going on there.
Yeah, it's not surprising. I think that this trend, I would it would be hard for me to precise the exact timing, but let's say around 7 to 8 years ago, it became more and more clear that the type of solutions that companies were looking for to stay ahead of their competition out there in the market were not available off the shelf. Like as an example, the mobile application you use for your banking services. This is not the such thing that you buy off the shelf, you incorporate a few configurations and you make it available. It's actually becoming a competitive advantage. It's a customer-facing application that it's a competitive advantage in the sector, in the market. And so companies have started to build that level of innovation by themselves rather than relying on software vendors to make them available for them. So what we are seeing right now is an increase even on that trend and becoming more and more prominent everywhere in every industry in the market. which leads to some of the conclusions in the survey that there's a high percentage of companies that believe they're considering to include new applications in their portfolio over the next years. And they're looking forward to gain competitive advantage through that. That's where I believe the trend is coming from, and that's the opportunity out there.
Okay, yeah, and just to emphasize, I mean, I think you mentioned it already, but so more companies are, as you say, not buying off the shelf out, yeah, external software. They are looking to develop, build their own applications, to give them competitive advantage rather than, as I say, just buying something off the shelf, which is clearly available to anyone else, so potentially doesn't give them any advantages. Is that pretty much what's happening?
Yes, because it's based on the experience that you give to the end user, which ultimately it's your client, right? So you want them to have a stellar experience. You want them to have the least amount of steps in that experience. You want them to have the solution to what they're trying to solve at the tips, at their finger tips. And in order to do that, it has to be reasonably custom. Otherwise, everybody would be the same. You know, can you imagine that every retailer would have the same thing as Amazon? What would be Amazon's competitive advantage, as an example? Or pick up any other good retail experience that you have and think what makes the difference from everybody else. So it's pretty much that user experience.
And in terms of the potential problems highlighted in the report, I think things like high workloads, a skills shortage, which I guess is not just related to this area, the whole IT industry is sort of under pressure skills wise, and then also the high cost of I guess what we might call traditional application development. So yeah, just your thoughts, I suppose, as to why those issues might be particularly causing concern for folks.
So, with this level of pressure coming from the digital transformation arena, in companies being able to differentiate themselves from their competitors using technology, it puts most of the companies in a situation where they have to sort of like almost act like a digital native. You would expect uh, that level of innovation to come from companies like, as we talked about before, Amazon or Tesla or anything. But the reality is, even old industry companies would have to perform like that. The competition is out there. So they have to be able to provide that level of experience through software, just like the digital natives. Now, being able to attract that level of talent from software engineering perspective is hard. And when everybody's doing it, it's not just like banking, it's banking, insurance, telecommunications, automotive, everybody else. There's a shortage of supply with that skill set. So that's the first concern. The second one is how do you attract the best to come and work for you? And then where do you have the budget to be competing with the high tech companies that have been historically attracting that level of talent? So these are the problems that are out there in the market. Uh, and that's where OutSystems becomes a great solution because you not only you speed up the development of your software life cycle, but you can also do it with much less people. So that, in a nutshell, is us seeing that the trend that is the market is demanding and allowing us to kind of build a product market fit for our platform.
Yeah, and I guess back to AI as well. The descript, the sort of scenario you've described there, where people are under pressure, skill shortage, means that the AI is potentially attractive, and it seems as if not in isolation, but again, you mentioned earlier on low code. So the combination of AI and low code is for many people the sort of perfect marriage going forward for application development. Is that right?
Yes, because the so when I mean, you're familiar with models like Gemini or ChatGPT or even Claude, and even and imagine just even with English, right? You start to iterate with it and generate huge long blobs of text. After a while on your iterations, you start to want to combine those different blocks into seemingly one piece only. Now imagine that with codes and complex applications have thousands of lines of code um, and several modules and everything like that. So when you use low code combined with AI, there's no what you see is the objects of the application. You see the screens that it generated, you see the database tables that created, you see the logic and the flows and the diagram, the flow diagrams of the logic that you've embedded. And it's that UI, the logic and the tables that create the application. So it's much more readable from a human perspective. And then it adds all of the components for you to manage that application, continue editing it, and govern the different suggestions and things that the platform has been able to provide to you with the AI included. So it's like it's much more manageable. So instead of looking at blobs of text, you would see out documents already created that you can go and edit the different pieces. And it's one full document, not bits of text that then you have to kind of copy and paste and combine in one single document. So I think for people that are not developers, even the just a simple experience of creating a document, a presentation, or something like that, you would understand. You could be able to extrapolate what that would do if that was actually code in thousands of lines and hundreds of modules. So it could be very complex to manage.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I suppose it's also worth reiterating or pointing out that AI and low code, perhaps the end goal, but at least for now, low code on its own, low code development is still making great inroads. It's delivering for people. So is that the sort of default setting at the moment, and then gradually people will morph to AI plus low code. Just thoughts there, I suppose.
Yeah, so some of the different gatherings that I've been able to participate with other CIOs reach across the world, but also very particularly focused in the US market. There's a general acknowledgement that there is a percentage of improvement when you use AI to generate your code. And we've heard about things around the 30% improvement. Now, I can tell you that likely the worst story that I've heard from some of our customers is around twice as fast as working with high code. That's much better than just 30%. Usually the stories you hear about four times less the amount of man days, most of the times around five times less the amount of man days, and it can go even higher. When you inject AI into that, we're looking at 10 times, maybe even 100 times more productivity. So it's like it's unbeatable. I mean, I don't believe it's actually uh, unknown for many people, and people are probably not even aware of the potential that lies behind it.
Okay, and maybe just in finishing, it'd be good to understand. I know OutSystems, you fairly recently launched OutSystems Mentor. So bearing in mind sort of all we've been talking about, just be good to understand more about the solution and how it is helping, presumably with what we've discussed as to the direction of travel, shall we say, when it comes to application development.
Yeah, Mentor is I'm a big fan, by the way, but Mentor as customer zero of our own product, I'm a huge fan of Mentor, and I think it's Mentor is likely the platform that the market has been asking for. It allows you to, so it has its low code like it was always. Now with AI present in the whole software development lifecycle, and with the ability of infusing AI and AI agents into your applications. So where you're going to get the additional productivity for all your workforce. Um, it generates full working applications out of prompts. We've been trying it out and testing with several customers with a specifications document, which is always a good point, a starting point. So requirements documents that generate full working applications, and then it allows you to iterate on those applications over and over again throughout the whole life cycle, the testing part, the deployment to production, and the full component end to end. It also allows you to build AI agents into the workflow of in the logic of your application, and agents that work end to end. And I think this is a huge, very differentiating component. When you look into the different AI component that's associated with some of the software packages, it's domain based. Like imagine you buy Zoom as an example, and it comes with an AI component. It does summarization of your video calls. When you buy something else, it treats that domain. What we can do is end to end, not only the domain of the application that you're building, but it can connect to all the knowledge and all the data that you have from your own company, correlate it and provide meaningful context suggestions, whatever, for you and for your company. I'll give an example. You might have agents in Salesforce that give you insights about the customer data. But when you do it without systems, you combine that information with your product marketing, and then you'll have the pitch for that prospect. So it's like productivity on steroids. I strongly believe, and I've been in the market for a while. I've gone through web, mobile, cloud. I've never seen a trend that can be as impactful as AI can be. And Mentor is the platform for you to be able to address all of that in the context of the applications that you need to build. So as a result of this report that we have been talking through this conversation, what we see is a perfect market fit. The market is demanding to be able to have a platform that allows them to build all those applications for them to stay ahead of their competition, that is able to live in the AI world, to give them this amount of productivity as they build them, because they'll have shortage of supply on the skill, they'll have trouble to attract that skill set, and sometimes even trouble to manage that. Like if you never had, all of a sudden you have groups of people that come from this tech space with AI and machine learning and data, big data and software engineering skill set. You have to know how to manage them. They could almost feel like a strange kind of body of people in a different context that you've never been able to manage that before. So it's a significant stretch. And with a platform like this, you're able to achieve that kind of results with a different skill set that you can actually even convert from the ones that you already have. So we're very excited this year. As I said at the beginning, it feels like there isn't a better time to be out there in the market like it is for us right now.
Okay, it's been great to talk to you, and thank you for giving us some insights into what's going on in the world of application development and at OutSystems as well. So, Tiago, really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Phil, thank you for the interest and for the questions. It's been mine and our pleasure to be talking to you here today.